Hi everybody, we have a short lecture this week. All we're going to do is take a look at a couple of tools that will help you stay safe online. One of those tools is to have a password manager. Another tool is to provide cybersecurity for your own individual online life. So that'd be your computer, your computers, if you have more than one, and also your phone. And we're also going to look at a website called VirusTotal, which allows you to check any file that you might come across to see if it has viruses. So first thing we'll take a look at is VirusTotal. So here's VirusTotal. And by the way, we're also going to see some really cool parental controls if you have kids. And so we're going to see how you could have parental controls to, we'll learn about the different things you could do with the parental controls. So here's VirusTotal. VirusTotal allows you to check any file. So if you ever get a file and you're unsure of whether or not it's safe, you can check that file here. Here I'm going to upload a sample file, and it ran this sample file against all these different services. You could see that there is Bitdefender, which we're going to talk about in a second. There is like Google is in here. There's Google, and it's checking Google and Symantec, and all of these different websites which are available online that deal with cybersecurity and viruses. It checks that one file at all these different places. Malware bytes and Microsoft, those are the other ones I was looking for, known names. So, CrowdStrike Falcon, it's using that. We're going to talk a little bit about CrowdStrike here in a second. So VirusTotal is just a really good website to know about. If you ever get a file that you have any questions or doubts about, you could run it through VirusTotal, and VirusTotal runs that file through all these different services to see if there's anything in there that's suspicious. So if you do a check here and it looks good, then that's good. I learned about VirusTotal, and I also learned about Bitdefender. So here you can see Bitdefender running on my machine. I learned about these two services from my friend who has a PhD in cybersecurity. He has a PhD in cybersecurity, and he also works at CrowdStrike as a high-level engineer. He's been there quite a while. And CrowdStrike is a really good cybersecurity firm. They do government, industrial, corporate. They don't do consumer, but he knows what he's talking about. And I had a little bit of a scare one time, and I said, what should I do? And he said, run your file through VirusTotal. And then also, if you aren't using any type of antivirus software yet, you should get Bitdefender. That's what I use for me and my family. So that was what he said to me. And based upon his recommendation, that's all I needed to hear to be convinced that Bitdefender was the option I wanted to go with. There are a lot of different options that are out there, but something that's compelling to me is when I did a little bit of research about Bitdefender, and here's a question we asked ChatGPT when I was in class and talking about this week. We said, hey, has there ever been any, well, you could read this, right? I'm using Bitdefender. Is this a company to which I can trust all of my personal information, including my most sensitive passwords, such as to bank accounts? What information do you have on this? So that might seem like a really big thing to do, like, ooh, I'm going to trust all my personal information, including sensitive passwords, such as to bank accounts, to some software. But if you think about it, you're already doing that. Like when you log in at Google Chrome, you're trusting your passwords to Google Chrome, right? Because somebody built Google Chrome, and they could have built it to be watching your passwords and sending your passwords to them if they built it in a malicious way, which it is not. Google Chrome is not built that way. It's built by Google. I think Google is a software engineering firm I could trust. And I also think Bitdefender is a software engineering firm I could trust. So I use Google for, my web browser, love Google Chrome. I also use Google for my password manager. So Google has a password manager. I'm going to just do that here, Google Password Manager. And you could go to Google Password Manager, and you can manage all your passwords right through the web interface. That's the one I've been using for a while. So I've continued to use it. And Google Password Manager has never had a data breach. And when we were in class, I also asked that somewhere here. I'm just looking to see, has Google Password Manager ever had a data breach? And the answer is no, right? There's no publicly reported data breaches Google Password Manager. And that says a lot, because a lot of password managers have had breaches, but never Google Password Manager. Some people go a little bit even more secure. They use KeePass, which is completely offline, but I like the convenience of Google Password Manager. And then I just combine that with two-factor authentication. So on my really critical, sensitive sites like bank accounts, Not only do I have a password, which is held in Google Password Manager, but when I log in, I have my bank account also do two-factor with me and like text me a code. So even if my password were to be compromised, somebody can't get in unless they also have my phone, and they're also going to get that code that gets texted to me. So that's kind of like thinking it through and making sure that, like, the system that I have in place to protect myself online, it's logical, it makes sense to me, and it's robust, right? So Google Password Manager, it's secure, and you can look at the sources here, right? These are the sources, ChatGPT, consulted right here for Google Password Manager. You can pause the video, you could read about those. But even though here my passwords are secure, and I also have two-factor authentication as a double check against my passwords being secure, right? You need both. You need the password and you also need the phone. When you talk about protection, you're talking about like how do you authenticate to prove that it's you and it's not somebody else. And you could authenticate in three ways: by what you have, by what you know, and by who you are, right? So what you have would be like, I have an ATM card, right? That's something I have. Or I have a physical key that unlocks a door. That's something I have. That's one of the ways you can authenticate somebody. Or I have my phone and a text message gets messaged to my phone. Now I could use that message, that number, to help authenticate me. It's something I have. It's my phone. To authenticate at some places, you have to have my phone. And that's two-factor authentication, but we authenticate by what you have, by what you know, right? Like maybe I know a password or a PIN, and then also by who you are, biometrics, my thumbprint, my voice, right? Like those are biometrics. But so it's what you have, what you know, and who you are the three ways that you can authenticate. So Google Password Manager, highly recommend using a password manager like Google Password Manager. Bitdefender also has a password manager. And again, you got to trust somebody, right? You got to trust the people that you hire for security. No individual's an island. You can't just live in a cabin by yourself without access to Netflix. What are you going to do, right? If you're living in a cabin by yourself. If you want Netflix, you got to be connected. And when you start connecting, you got to think about, okay, how am I protecting myself online? And so you trust your operating system, you trust your web browser, and you should also have a company where all they do is focus on your security. And for me, that's Bitdefender because of the recommendation of my friend and also because of this track record. So I asked, ChatGPT in class, I'm using Bitdefender. Is this a company to which I can trust all of my personal information, including my most sensitive passwords, such as to bank accounts? What information do you have on this? And the response here, and again, you can see the sources to that, is that they've been around since 2001. I think they have 40 million customers. Is that where it was? 40 million customers. Somewhere in here it says it. And maybe I just read that somewhere else, but they've had a really good security record. So you could pause the video and you could read through all of that, and you could also pause the video and you could read through all of that. Have they ever had a data breach, right? No publicly reported incidents of Bitdefender experiencing a data breach. So that's like a really incredible track record. So all those things really convinced me. My friend's recommendation, their track record, which we just looked at here, about Bitdefender, they convinced me I want to go with Bitdefender. And so they have a VPN. So a VPN helps keep you secure online. You don't have to know all the ways VPNs keep you secure, but it just adds a level of encryption to everything you do online to help keep you a little bit more anonymous, a little bit less tracked, and to also prevent some attacks. And so it's a really good idea to use a VPN. And you can see I'm using one right now, and I still get good speeds with my VPN. So if I do a speed test, right, and run the speed test, and it's checking this because, when you have a VPN, sometimes it's like, hey, we want to make sure you're a real human, so you'll see that. But, here I'm still running at 190, 200 megabits per second download, which is great for just about anything. And my upload is just doing okay right now. So on my VPN, I could switch this, and so I could, unhook my VPN. I just stopped it right there, and I could do automatic, and now it's going to connect, and we'll see what location it chooses here, and we'll run the speed test again, and I'll edit this out. So I just edited out the moment where it had to get connected, and I just started the speed test, but now I'm doing 348 megabits per second. So it still has really good speeds even when I'm connected to VPN. So VPN is a really good thing to connect to. And then here is Bitdefender Total Security, and you could go through and you could see all the different things. You could scan your system, do a vulnerability scan of your system and your network. You could run a VPN. You could have an added level of protection for online financial transactions. You could do online threat prevention. You could do a vulnerability check, ransomware remediation, firewall. You know, all these different things in here, anti-spam for keeping you safe and for protecting your privacy, right? So you could do video and audio protection, so your cameras and your microphones, you could be sure that they aren't going on or always be notified if they ever go on. They have a password manager, which would actually be easier to use if you're using multiple people, like in your family and your significant other sharing passwords. You could have an anti-tracker and parental control. We're going to see a little bit about parental control in a second. And then they have like anti-theft, where you could track your device or remotely wipe your device if it gets stolen. So it could factory reset your device, including your phone. So all this runs on your phone also. There's a one-click optimizer to speed up your computer to remove unnecessary files. And you could set up profiles for different activities. So like if you're watching a movie, you don't get bugged. And then they also have some, data protection, so you could get rid of deleted files. So that's called the file shredder, so that they can't be recovered. Because even files you've deleted can be recovered through forensic data analysis. But this would take care of all that. And it's amazing how many people don't have a level of like just this level of basic protection. And they're operating like at the government level, top secret stuff, and keeping it on personal computers and I don't know, crazy stuff, man. So this all helps keep you way more secure. I wanted to look a little bit about parental protection for kids, and so I did a little bit of a question about that. Let me find that and bring that up. All right, so here are the different parental controls that Bitdefender offers, and you can pause the video and read about it, but content filtering, so you can restrict access to inappropriate websites by blocking entire categories or specific URLs. You could have daily internet time management, so set daily limits on internet usage to promote balanced online habits. You could have routines, scheduling, establish routines such as focus time, bedtime, family time, to control internet access where it just is on or off at different times. Or if they've done, their 60 minutes for the day, like they get no more access, or you don't want them doing social media, like no Facebook, no Instagram, no TikTok. You could completely block that, so they don't have access to that stuff, because there's a lot of research that shows that could be pretty detrimental to kids. And you could check out on YouTube, if you're interested in looking at the importance of, or Social Dilemma trailer on Netflix really talks about how damaging social media and how addictive it can be for kids. And all people, but particularly dangerous for kids because they haven't developed the cognitive capacities yet to sort of keep themselves safe. There's safe search and YouTube restrictions. There's application control, so you could say which applications they can use and can't use. Again, can't launch TikTok, can't launch Instagram, can't launch Facebook, no social media. You could do location tracking, so you could see your kid's device location and ensure their safety and know their whereabouts. And you could also have activity reports, detailed reports on your child's online activities. So that's like, great stuff. And if you get like a phone for yourself and for your partner, and if you have kids, for your kids, obviously, if you're doing the parental controls, you want to be able to have this level of access and insight and control, so you could set some boundaries. And you could have some guidelines about what's okay and what's not okay for your family. And you could start to teach them, in not an on-off way, but in a moderated way. You could start to teach them, start to give them a little bit of freedom and a little bit more freedom. You can start to teach them some digital savvy skills and ensure that they are, staying safe online. So I think that's a double thumbs up, a good thing. All right, so that's Bitdefender. I am an ambassador for Bitdefender, and to that end, because I've communicated with them and I like their product so much, and I do a lot of online videos. They gave me a special access code, a promo code here, so there's the URL for it. And if you use that promo code down below, you'll be taken to a page where you have, I think it's their best rate. You could also just compare, what rate comes up with this to whatever their website is saying it is for sale. But this will give you a discount That link is down below in the description if you want to use it. So use that link down below and you'll get a discount. All right, that's a little bit about cybersecurity and keeping yourself safe online. VirusTotal is great to know about. Bitdefender is great to know about. And then you should also use some sort of a password manager, which you could use like Bitdefender's password manager or Google password manager. And those are the two that I recommend. And again, we went through the analysis of why I've made those choices. And we saw, you heard about my friend, PhD in cybersecurity, working for CrowdStrike, amazing cybersecurity firm as an engineer. And then also the due diligence that we did on ChatGPT to make sure that, both of those companies, Google Password Manager and Bitdefender, were trustworthy, reliable, have a good track record. And that's everything we saw there on ChatGPT. I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great every time you show up and you spend a little bit of time advancing your knowledge, advancing your skills. You're improving yourself. You're improving your life. You're becoming more skillful. You're learning how to live in a more skillful way. That's going to make your life better, and it's also going to make the world better, because as you continue to educate yourself and advance your skills, one person at a time, you're improving your life, but you're also improving all of humanity one person at a time. And if we all did that, if everybody in humanity worked together to individually become more knowledgeable and more skillful, that's only going to make the human race better. So I commend you for showing up, for watching this lecture, and for continuing to learn and grow. Hope you're having a great week. I hope you continue to have a great week, and I'll see you next time.